On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Hushed and Grim by Mastodon. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And this month we're doing a recap, not a recap, a catch-up.
A catch-up of metal that's come out.
Some albums that we've not gotten an opportunity to talk to you and each other to a lesser extent about since we did a long string of themed months since December, and there's been a lot of really great stuff that has come out since September, that we didn't really get a chance to talk about on the air, so that's what we're doing today with the new Mastodon record. But how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
All things considered, the world has changed a fair amount since like an hour after we stopped recording last week. You all, I'm sure, are well aware of course, what's going on out in the world. But yeah, that was kept me up a bit late on Wednesday night, and has been on my mind since then.
We've got to find out just how badass old Ukrainian ladies are.
Yes, the answer is incredibly. I think just Ukrainians in general showing off an incredible amount of badassery and fortitude, but. You get the listener get enough of that in the news, I imagine. So we'll keep talk about that to a minimum. I guess. I just you don't come to us for the latest news on war. I'm sure
that's not what we're getting at.
No.
I just want to mention. I know you heard about the old lady who gave the soldier the sunflower seeds.
Yes.
Yeah. But did you also hear about the lady who the Russian soldiers begged her to feed them? And so she finally obliged, and then she dosed them with laxatives and then set her fucking bathroom on fire.
Oh, my God. That's like brave and also incredibly petty. On a level that I am extremely, extremely here for. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's great. But you've been struggling through Bloodborne.
I've been struggling through Bloodborne on my
video game
on
terms.
my computer. I mean, it was difficult on Sunday when we all got together, and then
everybody was talking about Elden Ring.
Everybody's talking about Elden Ring,
which I also haven't been playing because I'm trying to finish Dark Souls 3.
Right, and I have my own FromSoft sort of hell going on.
Nightmare. Yeah. It's like I'm so close to, like, theoretically close to the end of Dark Souls 3, where I have, like, I don't know, I have 2 more necessary bosses in the main game and 2 or 3 in the DLCs. I don't know how many bosses there are in the Ringed City, because I think there's only 2 named bosses in Ashes of Ariandel. Or Ariandel, or however it's said. There's only 2 named bosses in there, and one of them is not mandatory, so I haven't fucking bothered, because I think the route to get to him is really annoying and infested with wolves, including one really giant wolf. And it's like, I don't need to fuck with that. But there's like a mini boss, and his name is Sir Wilhelm, and he kicked my ass over and over and over again until I figured out, the way to beat him is to just back him into a corner and turn him into paste with a giant hammer.
Sure.
So
that's the way you can solve all your problems.
Yeah, typically. So now I'm on the final boss of that DLC. And then I've got the entire next DLC to get through before. And I think I want to do that before I finish them. I mean, like the finish even the last 2 bosses of the main game. I think I could do the next necessary boss before and then like go and finish the DLCs. But like once you finish the final boss, the game's over with, basically. But I want to get all that done, and then I'll play Elden Ring, and hopefully some of the PC issues will be resolved. As far as I'm aware, they're still persisting and haven't been fixed yet. It gets really the further into the game, the more it tends to stutter. Skyrim can get like that if you've been playing for an extremely long time, even on PC, which is bizarre because I feel running Skyrim on a modern PC is like playing. It's not that much more difficult than playing the original Doom at this point.
Yeah, it's an 11-year-old game.
But I think that's also just a testament to how poorly optimized Bethesda's engine is at this point. They've held on to the bones of that engine for so goddamn long. They've been using the same fucking thing since Morrowind and just kludging more and more and newer systems onto it. I don't know if they've completely built something new for Starfield, or if it's really one of those things where you open up the hood and like, oh, it's Gamebryo still. I don't know. But they've not really changed that since then. But if all else fails, I could theoretically play Elden Ring on my Xbox One. I don't know how well that runs. I hear it runs great on PS4, which is part of why you were like so.
I'm like, oh, I want to get it.
Yes.
I have $60. I'm an adult. I have grown man money.
I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
I'm a grown ass man. I spent my money on a fancy controller.
I see that.
Which is, it's nice. I guess I've always wanted like a fancy, a real gamer controller.
Sure.
So now I everybody knows I'm the superior gamer because I can swap out the thumbsticks for different shaped ones.
Oh, those magnetic?
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. A whole bunch of the stuff is magnetic. The D-pad is magnetic, and you can change it out for a different shaped one.
Really?
The sticks are magnetic, and you can actually adjust the spring back on the sticks too.
Wow.
It has up to 4 paddles on the bottom, adjustable pressure sensors for the triggers.
Who makes this?
This is Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft.
This is the official Xbox Elite controller. Series 2 is what I have. I don't know if they're making a Series 3 or something at some point. I think this one's the Series 2 has been around for a while, but yeah. And like my Xbox One controllers are like, even this white one is, I think I got this like 4 years ago, something like that. One of my black Xbox One controllers, which sits out in the living room, is not entirely busted, but one of the sticks has a pretty severe drifting issue on it. This one, as far as I remember, the black one that I have sitting in here still works, and then the white one works just fine. But they didn't get used for a fair amount of time, and then since I've started, over the last year, I've played a lot more video games than I have recently. There was a long period there where I didn't really play many video games, really, to speak of. Even though I have a good computer, I got the Xbox and everything else. I didn't really play a ton of different video games. One would come out, I'd play through it, finish it, and then go, all right, I don't need to play anything for like a month now.
Let me go back to hardcore pornography and
no, it's let me mindlessly browse Reddit and drool and just like
no, I didn't mean looking at it.
Oh yeah, just
starring in it.
Starring in it. Sure, okay. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah. Everyone's favorite doughy, no-assed porn star. I feel like it doesn't matter who you are, what you identify as. You're not going to succeed in porn with a flat ass. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Sure.
You need to have a good set of...
Good set of glutes?
Good set of glutes on you, no matter what. But and that's just human beings in general.
You may have the breasts for it. I mean,
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I know I do.
But just like human beings in general, everybody likes butts. It doesn't matter who you are. Almost everyone likes butts. So
I hope that's the title of this podcast.
Everyone likes butts. That'll be subtitle. I don't know.
Mastodon.
Mastodon. Everyone likes butts.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just just not doing anything.
I'm not doing anything. The only thing I got going on right now is I'm collecting delivered packages from my neighbor across the hall.
You also shaved the. You're going with a very long set of friendly mutton chops at the moment. That sort of meet in the middle. There's a gap, and then they meet in the middle.
You can see my butt chin
because the gap that you shaved in the middle is not to truly make them work as friendly mutton chops. Mutton chops.
Mutton chops.
The gap would need to be a bit wider to go for the Lemmy look.
Right.
You should, just go full Lemmy.
Go full Lemmy.
Leather jacket, cowboy hat.
Liter of vodka every morning.
Yeah. For your health.
Exactly.
Because it's healthier than whiskey.
Jack Daniels, yeah.
It's healthier than Jack Daniels, for sure.
And probably cheaper. You could probably get cheaper vodka than bourbon.
I don't know if, Jack Daniels is Tennessee whiskey.
True, yeah.
They're different things.
Right, it's Tennessee. You're right.
But in any case, I don't know if Lemmy had brand loyalty when it came to vodka.
Probably not.
Obviously, he had some pretty legendary brand loyalty when it came to Jack Daniels.
Sure.
But I don't know if he had a preferred brand of vodka.
I mean, vodka is just it's a pretty generic liquor anyway.
Well, and it's one of those things where at a certain price point, it's all the same. And below that price point, it's different, but in differently bad ways.
Right.
Like different flavors of gasoline, basically, is what you get below a certain price point. But at I think the cheapest decent bottle of vodka is probably like New Amsterdam or something.
Not Karkov, you wouldn't say?
Jesus Christ, no, not Karkov.
Because that's top-notch shit right there.
Yeah, Karkov is absolutely top shelf. Is Karkov genuinely Russian? Or is it?
I don't think so. I think they just gave it a Russian name. It's like bottled in like Hoboken.
I don't care where it's bottled. Still throw that shit out. Even if you're not trying to give the middle finger to Russia. Still, it's Karkov. Throw it out.
Sure.
Or send it to Ukraine so they can use it as a Molotov cocktail.
Sure, there you go.
There we go. It's probably flammable. It might not be. I don't know if it's high enough proof to be flammable.
I don't think it's high enough proof.
Yeah.
I think if you distilled it a little further, you could make it.
You'd probably get there.
Yeah.
But I had a big night on Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
I was my other D&D group. I did a big, huge boss fight. I was trying to say battle, and then I wanted to say fight, so I said fat, and I would have said fattle, but I stopped myself and tried to pivot back to fight, so it came out as boss fight.
I'm a nice whore.
Yeah, that's funny. And we'll get to that situation in a bit, but Saturday night was a lot of fun. For me, it was a lot of fun in retrospect. It was extremely stressful in the moment because I'm sitting there going poker face is on, but in the back of my head, I'm going, fuck, is this going to work? Am I going to kill everybody, or is this going to be like a properly well-made boss fight?
Just for a moment there, I didn't get what you meant by that.
Am I going to actually kill everybody?
Were you playing Lady Gaga while you're...
Oh, because I had poker face on.
Yeah, I don't know.
You forgot that a poker face is a thing people say outside of Lady Gaga songs? I didn't take you for that much of a Gaga fan.
I work in radio, man. Okay. It's not fandom, it's overexposure.
I suppose. But the stress for every game master, no matter the game, when you run a boss fight, is that because every party is different, whether it's mechanically, every party being different on paper, different combination of classes and races and abilities, and also a different combination of people who are going to play those characters differently. So every boss fight you construct and every combat encounter you construct is untested game design. It's not like a video game where you can just, go back and try it again.
Right.
I mean, theoretically you could do that, but that sort of removes the narrative stakes of the game, which is part of a big reason why people play it in the first place. But it's untested bits of game design. And so I'm sitting there going is this going to be a balanced boss fight, or am I really going to have to dial things back in the middle of this to prevent myself from killing them?
Or dial things forward.
Or have to try and sneakily give the monster a ton more HP.
Right.
Because past a certain point in a boss fight, that's basically the only thing you can get away with quietly.
Yeah.
Because if you try to increase its armor class, people are going to know.
Yeah. Hey, wait, that hit before. Why doesn't it hit now?
Exactly. And then you have to be like, because.
Oh, and suddenly he's going to use his legendary action.
I mean, that was connected to legendary actions. That is a feature in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, which is certain creatures in the monster manual and other monster stat blocks have legendary actions, signifying like this is a legendary creature of some kind that's powerful enough to do things other creatures are not able to do.
Like every other turn, you can use a power word kill.
That would be extremely cruel. But powerful moves, and not even like the moves are not necessarily powerful themselves, but it's just that they get more things to do.
Sure.
Which in 5th edition, having more options and having more attacks heavily influences how things are going to go. Usually whichever side has more actions to use is the one that's going to win. And like I didn't really understand legendary actions or really how to use them for a while when I was starting out as a dungeon master. And I kept on wondering why every boss fight that I made, I got absolutely curb stomped in. And I didn't know how to use those, and also like legendary resistances, which make it so a party can't just walk in and go, I cast banish on them. And it works. And then you go, well, you don't have to fight him, I guess. So it's though that's fantastic as well. And it went really, really, really well on Saturday night, and I was really happy with it.
Nice.
The party was severely injured by the end. One of them almost died. And like one player death, I'm happy with.
Sure.
More than one,
that's too much.
You're starting to get like me internally as the game master. I'm going like, shit.
Now, when you say like death, like forever dead or just unconscious?
Dead.
Dead. Okay.
Dead, which is
like roll up a new character next week, dead.
Yeah. And like this party in particular has very limited capacity to do any sort of revivals.
Sure.
We have one item that has one usage for a revivify. Beyond that, now they are one level away from having access to any sort of spells. One of which is on my character, who I don't play and is not with when I'm the dungeon master. And the other revival is significantly more expensive, which is the Druid's Reincarnation, which is much, much more expensive than Revivify.
Because you need a new body now.
Yeah, and it takes a lot longer to do. Instead of just being a quick action, it is an hour-long ritual. So you can't do it in the middle of combat.
Right.
Yeah, it's like deaths in that party are much more worrisome. For your party and the party that we have here in the apartment on Sundays, it's a bit less of an issue because you have a cleric with, and you've been steadily collecting diamonds for some usages to potentially revive people if they've gone down. We've
got potions.
The other week, we had one character at 2 failed death saves. Because there was one particularly strong enemy that was just like, fuck it, he's right there. He's going to go for it. So I'm not quite as worried with you guys because I know the stakes are a little bit lower because you have a cleric with. But yeah, on Sunday, you guys were on your wagon and came up to a river with no bridge. And the river was too deep to ford on the wagon. So you spent a couple of in-game days cutting down trees, collecting wood, sawing it in half, trying to build a raft. And you were going to use a spell of water walk to cross the river on foot and then bring the wagon onto the raft and have someone, on the raft and the rest of the party pulling the raft across the river from the other side.
Then we realized
that one of the other spellcasters has something called enhanceability, which she can use to greatly increase someone's strength score. One of the characters in the party is playing a race where they're all, they're 8.5 foot tall Fey giants that have an extremely high carrying capacity naturally. That got doubled.
Right, yeah.
And then we've got 2 very strong and brawny fighters as well. So you guys just cast Water Walk and then
I was no help, though, because I'm a dwarf.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have carried it over your head and then someone else could have carried it down at their hips.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it was you guys just carried the wagon across the river while walking on the water. And that's why I love Dungeons and Dragons. Like the most entertaining things in the game happen when you as a dungeon master have a problem that you do not have a fixed solution for. And you just say, all right, what do you guys do?
Yeah.
What do you come up with? Those are some of the best and most entertaining situations where it's just like, I don't know the solution to this puzzle. You guys have to figure it out. That's I think some of the most entertaining things. And it's some of the things that can get lost if you worry a little bit too much about, railroading people to do a specific thing. I'm not really a huge proponent of story first Dungeons and Dragons games. I think unless you are, a professional storyteller,
right,
you should probably just focus on making sure everyone has fun. And then
let them do it.
Yeah, and let them figure it out. That will probably naturally create a better story than what you were trying to come up with on your own. Be collaborative with your storytelling. I think that's a much more fun,
totally,
and equitable way of doing things.
So what are you guys gonna do?
What do you do? And then it also removes a lot of work from you as the dungeon master because you can say, what do you guys do? And then lean back and watch for 30 minutes as people discuss.
I think
you don't have to say anything for like a half an hour. It's great.
I think I've run whole campaigns that all I did was build monsters.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I'm like, where are you going?
Where are you going? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And like, for me, I think there's a certain level of herding cats that I have to do.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people at the table that are new players, where it's like they don't necessarily understand the full scope of what they can do.
Sure. I mean, I'm kind of that way because I've never played 5th edition before. Yeah. I don't know. What do you do in this?
What do you do? Where do you go? And you guys don't have complete information about the world because to truly give you complete information about the world, I would have had to spend several more months working several hours a day, fleshing it out. Whereas, I was more satisfied with a much more general outline of how it looked. And what the things were going to be in it.
I still haven't worked out where my Thaco is for my character.
You old man. You're old. That's not how we play Dungeons and Dragons anymore.
Speaking of old men.
Yeah, Mastodon. Yeah, if you're old, they're old.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all except for Braun are actually older than me.
I suppose, yeah.
Brent is older than me by 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There are a number of people that we are fans of that are very close to age in you.
Yeah.
It's like Kurt Ballou is like a day older than you.
Day younger
than you. But Mastodon's newest album, Hushed and Grim, came out last November.
I would say it's more of an EP. I mean, it's so short.
Yeah, it's so short. It is an hour and a half long, which is not, it's not something that's I would ever have considered to be out of the realm of possibility for Mastodon to do.
Yeah, and none of it's like
none of it's a padding.
There's no padding on here.
All of it has substance, but it gets to be a long listening session depending upon what you're doing. I think if you're sitting down with the purpose of listening to it, that can get to be a long time.
Yeah. I wash dishes and clean the carpet and wash the walls.
The trade-off with that, though, is if you're doing something, you're maybe not paying super close attention to the music. Like I can't do stuff and pay attention to the music at the same time. So it's
it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like cleaning stuff, I can pay full attention to music.
It's easier for me when I listen to our albums a lot at work while I'm doing logs, and that tends to pull my focus away from what I'm listening to. So I always listen to it again when I get home.
Right.
Or at least I try to. But this is by far their longest album.
Right.
Probably the largest amount of songs with the longest lengths overall. I mean, I don't think anything in here is their longest song.
Right.
From what I can remember, it all stays under 10 minutes.
What'd you say their longest song is?
They're long. I don't know what they're. I
know there's a song in their last album, like the second to last song or something like that. It was like 11 minutes or something like that.
Jaguar God is pretty long. Jaguar God, I think, is only 7 minutes.
Is it only 7 minutes?
I think there's something on Crack the Sky that was like 13 minutes long. I want to say. I'm looking it up now because I can't remember. I think it might have been The Last Baron. Let's see. Spotify mobile doesn't show you the time. Yeah, The Last Baron's 13 minutes long.
Okay.
So I think that's if it's not their longest song, it's probably top 3.
Right.
But plenty of long tracks on Hushed and Grim. What are your overall thoughts, if you want to talk about it first?
My overall thoughts, I mean, this is obviously something that they worked really hard on.
Yes.
But you know, it's a pandemic album is what it is.
Yes, for
it's
sure.
Clearly a pandemic album. There's great work on here. I mean, I think we discussed before that there's not enough Brent singing on it.
Yeah, I missed his voice.
Yeah.
on a fair amount of this album.
I mean, he's on there.
He is,
like he's on
sure.
The Beast. He sings that one.
He has a couple of prominent songs, but his overall presence is pretty reduced.
Well, I gotta say,
from a vocal perspective.
But some of his fucking leads on this, are just spine tingling.
Guitar playing is absolutely fantastic as always.
Yeah,
he may not be able to form a coherent sentence most of the time, but goddamn, he picks up that flying V.
He does,
and he just goes to work.
He takes it to the moon. So you know, and it's funny. I think I've seen like footage in the past of Brent, you know, recording guitar work. And you could just see this extreme lucidity on his face.
Yes.
And then he realizes the camera's on him.
And he gets goofy.
Yeah, he gets goofy.
Yeah.
I think there's Well, yeah. I think the drummer from System of a Down gave him brain damage.
They got into a fist fight and Brent hit the ground very hard.
Yeah, he was in a coma for a bit.
And also he smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah, I drink a lot of beer.
Brent smokes a lot of weed, but
and in fact, I think that's part of the reason that Bill doesn't.
I think someone has to be.
So Bill's like,
someone has to be the adult.
Am I this way? Because Bill
is absolutely the uncle of the band.
He's Uncle Bill.
He's Uncle Bill. Someone's got to be in charge. Someone has to be an adult. I think you can trust Bron and Troy to be that most of the time.
Right.
You know, they're both middle-aged men with kids.
Right.
But
does Brent have kids?
Brent, I think, is the only one that doesn't have kids. They're all dads.
They're all middle-aged men.
They're all middle-aged dads.
Well,
making some sick ass metal.
Troy isn't in his 50. He isn't 50 yet, is he?
I don't know.
If he is,
he looks like he is.
I think he'll be 50 this year.
Troy looks like a grizzled old wizard at this point.
Yeah,
a badass grizzled old wizard. More than any, like his hair has just been getting, because he always has, you know, very long, wild hair,
right,
and a very long, wild beard, and it's just been getting progressively grayer and grayer and grayer.
I know how that is.
I loved the cooking videos they did last year, where they all had makeup done that made them look like they were dying. Yeah. Like and it was like fairly subtle makeup, but they all clearly had like artificial, like extreme bags under their eyes. They all looked kind of skull-like.
They had makeup put on to make them look worse.
They all looked so tired.
Sure.
Especially Troy. But it's Brent's guitar playing is amazing, as it always is. And you got Bran Daler flickety flamming them drums.
Yeah, I mean, just as good as always,
with a voice that sounds like Fergie mixed with Jesus. I will say, because like I don't dislike Troy's singing, but I think he's by a fairly wide margin my least favorite singer in the band.
Yeah, he is kind of a bit one note. I mean, he's
kind of a one trick pony, and it sounds to me, and it might be, you know, I don't know how comfortable he is while he's singing, but it sounds like he's pushing himself really, really hard to get that sort of heavy metal sound that he wants.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's doing that or if that's just how his natural singing voice sounds, but it sounds almost painful when I'm thinking about like how hard I would have to push my voice to try and to match that kind of intensity. It's not even a screamed vocal. It's just
kind of a gruff sing.
And it sounds like he's pushing himself really hard. And his is the voice that also tends to have the most effects layered on it. Not necessarily pitch correction, but just and that's this whole album there's a lot of effects on everybody's voices.
Right.
Brent's has a fair amount of it too. Some of that I almost because he's a lot more intelligible here. There were a couple of tracks on Emperor of Sand, and then a few tracks on what's the EP they put out?
With the
Cold Dark Place.
Cold Dark Place, right.
There were a couple tracks on Cold Dark Place where it sounded like he had cotton balls in his mouth while he was singing. Brent is a fair bit more intelligible on this one, but there's just a lot of effects. But it's also like this is kind of a spacey sort of album. Lots of it's not stuff that imitation. It's got a rod on it. It's an instrument.
A theremin?
A theremin. Thank you, God.
No, just OJ.
Just OJ, not God. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, there's like some imitation theremin where I don't know if it's keyboard or if it's maybe even a heavily affected guitar. I don't know. Probably keyboard. But
or a real knowing these guys, like, what the fuck? Did you find a fucking theremin? Oh yeah.
It's one of those things where like listening to the shifts between notes, it sounds a little too precise to be a theremin because theremins by their nature you glide between notes because it's the fluctuations of an electrical current based on where your hand is sitting. Right. So you have to physically move your hand from one position to the other. And it's a slide.
You really have to know your way around a theremin to make it do that.
Yes. And to make it not sound messy. And this sounds very clean, which is why I think it's probably keyboard made to sound like a theremin. And it sounds cool. There's a couple songs it shows up on. That's one of my favorite little things on and that's always the thing with Mastodon is like, okay, what little new thing are they going to introduce? Like in Emperor of Sand, it was a lot of new sort of percussion.
Right.
Bran just walked in. Bron. I always say Bran.
It's Braun, yeah.
Braun walked in with a box full of random shit and was just like, we're going to use all of this.
They're like, okay.
Some maracas. We got a tambourine. We got a whole bunch of other shit.
Kasaba.
Yeah. Just a whole bunch of shit. They used all of it. And I think they were playing around with like, what cool little thing that can we do? And I think that was one of them is that little keyboard. And I love when it shows up. I liked listening to that. Does this slap?
Yeah, this slaps.
I would say it slaps for sure. I think overall, it's hard to say because it is so long. But I think as far as the runtime of heavier songs, I think there is a greater ratio of heavier material on here than there was in Emperor of Sand.
Yeah, I mean, there's the D word again, a lot of dynamic going on in this. I mean, they'll have places where it's downright thrash, and then it'll go right into something that's almost smooth jazz. Yes, but it's so well done.
Or Brent obviously bringing in tons of influences, of course, Southern rock and that sort of thing, as he always does. And that's also his guitar playing style is extremely influenced by banjo because that was his first instrument. From what I recall, he learned stringed instruments by starting with banjo, which also I understand is a lot more difficult to learn than guitar is.
Sure.
As far
because
as
of what you do on the banjo,
yeah. Well, and also you need to wear a special appliance to play the banjo
on your dick.
Yes. But you put on, the little claws or whatever. I guess it depends on the style of banjo.
Right. I mean, a lot of people just have an appliance in their thumb.
Yeah.
That's all they need to use.
Just on the thumb. But it's neat. Anyway,
it is neat.
There was one song. I can't remember which song it was. but there was one particular drum that seemed like it was so much louder than all the others. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't the snare, but it brought to mind people making fun of the snare drum on
Metallica.
That Metallica album.
Yeah.
This was just like, and I didn't notice it on other stuff, but it's just like, why is that one drum so loud? It was really loud. It was so much louder than everything else on the kit.
The mix on the drums is weird on this.
Yeah. And I don't know what the recording situation was when they were recording this. I don't know if they were recording it at home studios or if they...
I feel like they were, because I saw like videos of what they were doing, and a lot of it seemed to be a house.
Well, I know Bill has like a full studio in his basement.
I think most of them do.
Yeah. I think Bill was the one who prior to the pandemic had invested the most into having a home studio. But I would not be surprised at all if pretty much all of them do at this point. But yeah, I mean, if you're a drummer, you basically have to have a home studio. It's where your kit sits most of the time. Unless I guess you could have it in storage, but then you have to go somewhere to play it.
I remember the drummer in my band when we were still in high school. His bedroom was maybe about 3/4 the size of this room.
This is a small room.
Yeah, and he had a bed and like a dresser and a Tama kit. In that room, that's all that was in that room, and you pull onto their street, and if you had your windows down, it's like, well, I hear Jim. He's a block away, but I can hear Jim.
There he is, flickety flamming them drums.
Indeed. And then you go into their house, and his mom was just so used to this. Hi, Mrs. F, and she'd be like, James.
Just got to shout over the sound. Now they have it's wonderful. Yeah. The invention of the electric drum kit, the practice kit, as it were.
I was in a band that had that usually is their primary kit.
Yeah,
called Slipstream. It was a weird band.
I think they're much better now than they once were. Also, the sheer amount of samples is probably much higher quality and much more varied than it once was. But yeah, as far as like keeping your loved ones sane, I think that's a great boon for any drummer. Because
I would like to own one of those.
You make a significantly reduced amount of noise while playing them. Instead of, the massive banging and clanging, it's just kind of slap, 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 slap. It sounds like you're playing Rock Band, basically.
It does. Yeah, because there's no variance.
And like, at its core, that's what a Rock Band drum kit is. It's just a much cheaper, flimsier version of that. I've seen people hook up like their practice kits to like Rock Band and that sort of thing, and it's like you're playing this probably multi-$1,000 instrument. You're using that to play Rock Band. That's fantastic.
You have it hooked up to your PlayStation 2.
That's always a genre of games that I wanted to get back. Like, there's not a current. Because like there was a new Rock Band and a new Guitar Hero that came out.
I have several versions of Guitar Hero.
In like 2016.
Really?
There were two new ones that came out, but
I have two. I have an Explorer style guitar, and I have a Fender jazz guitar.
Nice. There's I've wanted to, like, because I played Guitar Hero 3 when I was in junior high or whatever, and I really liked it, but there's one now where like the legal standing of it is a bit questionable. That's called Clone Hero, where it's basically just Guitar Hero 3 era like style gameplay, and it's meant to look very much like Guitar Hero 3. But you can download whatever. Most of which is not, licensed.
Sure.
Actually, none of it is licensed because like the only thing that you're downloading is just the game, and all of the stuff that you put into it is something that was custom made. Sure. I think it sits somewhere in the same realm of like YouTube videos with songs on them, where it's like I think nobody really goes after that because nobody's making any money off of it, and it's who cares. It's one of those things where it's like, this is going into a game and whatever, who cares? We don't have the time.
I'm a hobbyist.
Yeah.
Are you coming after me? I'm a hobbyist.
It's one of those things. And a lot of them are like meme songs too, where people will make, funny versions. The one that I've seen far and away the most versions of is Chop Suey by
really
by System of a Down.
Yeah.
Far and away the most versions of that. And then that one's funny also because there's two jokes you can make there. There's one where you replace every other word with table. But then you can also put in James Hetfield going table. And that's funny.
That's funny too.
It's always funny to me.
The actual Guitar Hero 3 had Trogdor on it. You remember that?
Yeah,
don't you?
I remember.
Yeah.
I think that was 2.
Was that 2?
I think that was 2 that had Trogdor the Burninator on it.
Trogdor.
I don't know if there were really any joke songs on Guitar Hero 3. None that I can remember. I know My Curse by Killswitch Engage was on there. It's not a joke song, but it's just like, it's one that, I actually never played that one. I didn't know it was on Guitar Hero 3 until I was a senior in high school and we had somebody's PlayStation 2 in our senior room.
Yeah.
And we were playing Guitar Hero 3 and it was like, fucking Killswitch Engage is in here. That's great. And then obviously, there's Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force.
Yeah.
I have to wonder how many people even knew about that song or really even knew that Dragon Force existed before Guitar Hero 3.
I think Guitar Hero 3 was really the thing that springboarded their career.
A springboard for Dragon Force, for sure. But like that song's just fun because it's completely ludicrous power metal.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a bit of trivia. What's the guitar player's name? Well, there's 2 guitar players, but
I don't know.
The one that's Japanese.
I don't know his name.
I can't remember his name either, but he says, by the way, you can hear near the end of Through the Fire and Flames that he breaks a string. And they leave it in. Yeah.
I think also in Guitar, I remember distinctly in Guitar Hero 3, because I was 12 and not good at anything. So I never really played on any higher difficulties than like normal. But I remember on Raining Blood by Slayer, just getting absolutely destroyed by the guitar solos because the chart doesn't make any sense because the guitar solo doesn't make any sense because it's fucking Kerry King. Like
Kerry King
making a Guitar Hero.
Both Kerry and Jeff did chaotic guitar solos.
Like making a Guitar Hero chart for any Slayer guitar solo is just like, do whatever. Just throw whatever notes onto that chart you want and it's fine. Like, and I remember being so infuriated by that because it's like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, that's the point.
It's chaos.
It's Slayer. That's their thing. But and then I remember like how absolutely boring from a gameplay perspective, how boring the beginning of One by Metallica is. Like,
also the song itself.
It's kind of, it's a boring song, but I like it.
I do too.
But it's like, playing it on Guitar Hero is like click, 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 click. click, 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 click. And it's that for 3 minutes. And it's like, why is this on the heart? Why is this in the final set list?
Do they give you the solo at all? I mean, if you're playing,
I'm pretty sure they do.
Reasonable mode.
I think if you're playing, if you're playing, and the solo doesn't come in for a little while on that intro, I think.
Yeah, it's a few measures in, but not very far in.
But yeah, it's like, even with that, it's on normal, it was boring. But like playing the first 3 minutes of that song, it's like, why is this in the final set list? Like of the campaign where, the songs get progressively more difficult as you play. It's like, why is this in the same set list as Slayer other than they're both thrash metal bands? Yeah.
So somebody told, the head, we need to put some thrash metal in there. Okay. Oh, whatever popular thrash metal songs right now, put that in there.
Yes.
Like One. I mean, it gets complicated toward the end.
Yeah. But like for the, a very long build up. There were many other Metallica songs they could have put in there. And ultimately, they did end up doing a Guitar Hero Metallica. So
they did, which I own. I have the Guitar Hero Metallica and the Guitar Hero Aerosmith.
The Guitar Hero Aerosmith.
Yeah, I do. Boy. I have actually 2 copies of that.
Is Love in an Elevator on there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course it is. By the way, I got that particular Metallic album for Christmas in 1988.
Which album?
Injustice for All.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember which Metallica album.
And here's the fucked up part is that I saw what was obviously a CD in the Christmas tree in like mid-November.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mom and Dad weren't looking. I very carefully took off the tape, carefully cut it open.
Oh, no.
So by the time Christmas came, you know, that's under the tree there.
You'd already listened to it.
I had this whole thing memorized.
A whole bunch of times.
I listened to it 1,000 times already.
You listening to it in your room and your parents are going like, he's singing along with all the words.
But they didn't know what it was.
That's true, yeah.
They had no idea. It was
and also they have, you know, there's CDs came with booklets that had the lyrics on them. See,
they did.
Back in our day,
and they came in boxes that were like this.
Yeah, the big jewel case,
rectangular box situation. Which, by the way, made for great wall art. Back in the early days of CDs, my walls were bitching.
Hang all them on there.
I had the Red Rain and Blood, of course, and a Testament up there. I had Metallica, Megadeth, Nuclear Assault. I had them all up there.
It would be. I would like almost consider. We're deep in the weeds here, but like I would almost consider getting like a whole bunch of generic like slip covers for my vinyl records, and then putting the actual like cases or whatever on display for some of them. But
that'd be awesome. Well, you said the word slip, and that reminded me.
Slipknot,
March 16th. Knotfest is coming to Fargo.
Oh, is that what?
It's fucking Knotfest.
Is that what Ginger
That's what Ginger's a part of.
Yeah, I was going to, because you were like, Ginger's going to be playing in Fargo.
Yeah.
They're apparently all right, but also they're in Kiev at the moment.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to leave?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they probably have connections. I mean,
I'm worried about them. That's all.
They're going to have all their equipment on their back.
I'm glad or maybe someone is loaning them equipment here, and all they need to do is get themselves over here. That maybe their record label is loaning them some equipment. I don't know, but I'm happy that they're, you know, going to be not only safe and out of the country, but also touring and presumably making money.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. And they'll be in Fargo. I mean, what do you think? You want to go?
I already took 2 days off for my birthday the week after that, and the show is on a Wednesday.
Right. On a Wednesday on a day before there's going to be a live remote.
Yeah. So it's a pretty,
all right.
It'd be fairly tough to figure out. Yeah. I took a couple days off for
your birthday. What day's your birthday on this year?
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. Gotcha.
So I took Monday and Tuesday off.
Cool.
But it would be really fun to go to, but it's also like it's on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, that's
it's
weird.
Always like shows in Fargo are always on a really inconvenient day of the week.
Right.
To the credit of bands who schedule to play shows in Fargo, they're probably not used to playing in places where people will travel 250 miles to go to the show.
Right.
Because most of the people in the places where they go to play live in the cities where they play.
Whereas if you're playing in anywhere in North Dakota,
people are traveling from the tri-state area to go to that show.
They're coming in from Bozeman.
Are you playing a show in Cheyenne? Well, expect people from Bismarck to show up.
Right.
Not that anyone ever plays shows in fucking Cheyenne, Wyoming.
But if they do play in Cheyenne, Wyoming, you don't have to worry because a week later, that same show is going to be in Minot. So I mean,
probably, yeah. If they're bothering, the State Fair,
right?
What's the George Strait song? That's George Strait, right? I Can Still Make Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Or is that Garth Brooks?
No, that one. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Garth Brooks.
It might be Garth Brooks. Yeah, I think it was Garth Brooks.
Girth Brooks.
Girth Brooks.
Girth Brooks.
I wonder if Trisha Yearwood calls him Girth. Come on over here, Girth.
I hope not. This has been a wild tangent.
So, Mastodon. Or as Brent would say, Morstradun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what is it, Uncle Ben? on YouTube said. The guy who plays guitar. I don't think he had any funny
Uncle
name.
Ben? No, you're talking about Benjamin Eller.
Yeah, it's Ben Eller.
Yeah.
He didn't have any funny names for Mastodon.
He had funny names for Gojira.
Yeah,
those were great.
Florida Gojira line. Yeah. He didn't have funny names for Mastodon.
No, he didn't.
So I looked on Metacritic. This has an 83, which is...
That's pretty strong.
Generally runs with the pack of albums that are considered to be good. Is my understanding is the critical reception to this has been pretty solid across the board. There were a couple people who, for the most part, were like, "This is long, and there's nothing really all that new on it."
Right?
Meh.
Yeah. They didn't break out of the box.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything incredibly groundbreaking on this for sure. It's.
I mean, there's solid songs, great riffs, great singing, great guitar work.
It's all solid. Nothing on this is bad.
Right. Like I say, I like the song "The Beast." I like "Tear Drinker." I mean, the single they put out.
What is your favorite song?
I think,
or if you wanted to group them together.
I think maybe
this album's long enough. I wrote down 3.
Did you write down 3? What'd you write down?
I wrote down Tear Drinker, Peace and Tranquility, and Gigantium because
Gigantium, great song.
I am a sucker for a closer track, and that one, the main riff on that is fucking divine.
Yeah,
I adore that, and it also continues. It continues a trend that I love Mastodon for, which is very long songs with amazing riffs that don't have a fucking fade out at the end.
These guys know how to end a goddamn song.
They end every single one of their closing tracks that I can think of, and just their tracks in general, have an end. The riff resolves, and the album ultimately ends on this amazing like cello note.
Right.
That this drawn out cello note that just stops. It's gorgeous. Gigantium is a beautiful, beautiful song. I really like Tear Drinker. I really like Peace and Tranquility as well. There are a couple other ones that I also really liked The Beast as well. Just because that one has a lot of Brent on it. That one felt like a sequel to one of the songs on Cold Dark Place, which was
Toe to Toes.
Toe to Toes,
yeah.
Which also mentions a beast.
Yes.
I struggling to figure out if this is a concept album or not, and what it could be about. I don't know if it is or not.
I don't think it is because I saw like a bunch of Progress videos with Braun, who wrote the lyrics, saying, I got to come up with some new lyrics for a song we wrote today. Like as in, it's not a one complete piece. It's like individual songs.
In any case, there were some other songs I wanted to mention that I liked.
Precious and what's that one?
Give me a second. Well, there's Pushing the Tides.
That was good. Yes. I'm trying to remember. So many goddamn songs.
There's a lot of tracks on here. I'm trying to remember the one. I remember liking More Than I Could Chew a lot.
Yes.
There's another one that has a lot of Troy singing at the beginning, but then it ends.
Peace and Tranquility. I like that one.
Yeah, I wrote that one down as one of my favorites. There's a lot of songs. There's a lot of material here.
Savage Lands is great too.
Savage Lands, yeah. Had It All is good. Yeah, there's a lot of really good songs.
Yeah, there's not a bad song on here.
I would agree.
This is a solid Mastodon album. It's not my favorite Mastodon album.
That's true. This feels, even though it's probably not a concept album, this feels musically like a sequel to Crack the Sky.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. Because I feel like this is in many ways a lot more progressive than Emperor of Sand was. It takes more swings than Emperor of Sand did. Emperor of Sand trended a lot more in the rock direction.
Right. Which I liked Emperor of Sand.
Emperor of Sand is great. It's a very tight album. It's very clean and well made. But like you have The Hunter and you have Once More Around the Sun, where both of them are great albums, but they are not really unified by even sonically all that much. They're not linked thematically either. And, there's not really a unifying theme on this album, but I think musically it's very consistent song to song.
Right.
in a way that reminded me a lot of Crack the Sky.
Right.
There was a lot of bits and pieces that reminded me of that more than
Sure.
a decade later, almost 15 years later.
It's a great album. You know, it's funny though. I think at this point, my favorite Mastodon album is not what everybody else's favorite Mastodon album is. It's that Go Around the Sun Again.
Yeah, you like Once More Around the Sun a lot.
I enjoy it. But
It's a fine album. It's not my favorite.
I like it because of the individual songs.
Yes.
The individual songs that make me very happy.
It's the sort of thing where you can listen to one song.
Yes, and that's what I do. I listen to one song off, and that's the song I'm in the mood for.
Yeah.
But I won't be in the mood for the rest of the songs.
Exactly.
It's very, very inconsistent.
Exactly.
But it has a lot of great songs on
Where
it.
almost every other Mastodon album, it's like, all right, I got to listen to this whole thing.
Right.
And
It's a one piece.
It can be a bit of a commitment. I don't know what I would say my favorite Mastodon album is.
Is it Leviathan, do you think, maybe?
It's either Leviathan or Crack the Sky. It's one of the two. I think Leviathan has two of my most favorite Mastodon songs on it.
Well,
being
sure.
The first and last.
Yeah.
But
I had this discussion with my neighbor.
Between that, it's like, I think as a whole package, I like Crack the Sky more. But yeah, I think that's how I feel.
I had that discussion with my neighbor, Robert Campbell, who is one of the coolest people on the planet you'll ever meet. You'll never meet a person you'd like better than Robert Campbell. Anyway, we discussed. I was listening to Mastodon once, and I like it. He's like, "Which album are you listening to?" I said, "I'm listening to Emperor of Sand at the time," and he says, "Well, that's a good one." I said, "They're all good ones. There's no bad Mastodon album." He's like, "Yeah, like Iron Maiden." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. There's no bad Iron Maiden album either." So yeah, so Mastodon is like Iron Maiden in that way. So
very consistent.
Which my awesome neighbor Robert Campbell and I agree.
I don't know what you're trying to do.
He listens to the podcast.
Okay. I don't know what you're trying to do. You kept on saying his name and looking at me, and I'm like, who is this? Are you not talking about your neighbor?
No, I am talking about my neighbor, Robert Campbell.
Okay.
Who's very, very handsome. Did you know that? He's very handsome.
I'm sure. All right.
Thanks for listening, Bob. If you're there. All right.
So what medal are you bestowing upon Hushed and Grim by Mastodon, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I think it's a fantastic album. I will listen again, but it's a silver for me.
I think I agree. This is an album that has continuously grown on me since it came out. When it first came out, I had kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the first couple of songs.
Sure.
And I wasn't like the singles I hadn't really been super fond of. Hadn't listened to a bunch of times. I'd listened to it once and gone like, maybe I was in a bad mood or whatever. Sure. But like since then I've listened to it, 3 or 4 or 5 times, however many times it's been. And it's like, you know what? This is really solid. I like this. The fact that I'm going back and listening to it more means that obviously I don't hate it.
Right.
I mean, there are albums that ultimately maybe I'm not super fond of that I have listened to multiple times because I'm like, I got to see if there's something here. I got to see what other people see in it. But I don't think that's the case with this. This is like no, this is solid. This is good. And I think I'm going to have the certain songs on this that I come back to. Sure. And it'll probably be Gigantium more than anything else. The same way that for me, on Leviathan, I go back for Blood and Thunder, and I go back for Blood and Thunder because that's a short little treat.
It is. It's a very good treat.
That's 2.5 minutes. That'll get you where you need to go. And then Hearts Alive is a 9-minute commitment for the most fantastic payoff in the last 2 minutes. But
what was the song that everybody was saying should be the new national anthem for America?
That was the first song from their first album.
That's from the
song is Crusher Destroyer. The album is Remission.
Yeah, Remission. Yes.
Crusher Destroyer should be the new national anthem of America. I mean, it starts with a roaring Tyrannosaurus Rex. What more do you want?
Exactly.
I think the T-Rex should be our national bird.
It should.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.